Okay, hey everybody, this is John, and welcome to tonight's free video. Main thing, of course, is the market's really had a pretty nasty day to the downside. NASDAQ almost down 2%. We have a squeeze setting up here that's ready to trigger short. Quick plan for tomorrow is that if we can start getting a retracement rally back to 40.36 at a minimum, then I would be looking to initiate long put positions, meaning buying puts or selling call credit spreads. If we do gap down tomorrow, remember the 55 period moving average, that's a very strong level. I would actually expect a light gap down into that to hold, and I would use that opportunity to sell put spreads. Got a question here in the room, is that would you sell call credit spreads here on GoPro if it looked like it was starting to level out? And the answer is initially here, no. What's going on here is that when you see something like this, just think of it as a hedge fund getting destroyed on the short side and they're having to cover. And you just don't know where this thing could end up. So, if you started selling calls here, it was just pain, 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 pain. Does it look too high? Sure. Does that mean it's going to stop? Nah. I would, on something like this, rather just kind of go with the flow and sell like 1 standard deviation puts. So that's me personally. I've just found that whole freight train thing, especially on a newer stock like this where you're not really sure where it could go. There's older stocks. If they have had a good run and they're coming up to resistance, that's great. But it's kind of like, selling calls in blue sky territory. It's kind of like selling puts on the downside in blue sky territory. I mean, if you sold puts on Enron on the way down, it didn't work out so well. And I just wouldn't mess with that. I love the implied volatility in the stock. I love the idea of potentially selling calls on it. The options that we bought on it worked out fantastic. I'm not going to fight that trend at this point. Let's see. Okay, so for key stocks today, Apple kind of gave up the ghost here. It's very hard for the NASDAQ to do anything without Apple. The stocks that I like on the long side today are stocks that obviously were positive on the day and didn't care. INSY, this is one that's been really solid. I love the squeeze here, and regardless of what the market wants to do, I think this has a good shot of going higher, even if the market actually does sell off considerably. On the other hand, stocks that are kind of leading the way lower come back to things like Netflix, where now this last bastion of support in this daily squeeze is the 89 period moving average. Once you get through that on a daily chart, I mean, that does really legitimately open up the door to some pretty bigger moves. And if you guys remember when if you were trading Netflix back, was that the time? No, even worse than that one. It doesn't even go back that far, but here you can see the 89 period was support. If we go back and look at a weekly chart, you'll see that there was a period of time where the stock was, I didn't think it was that long ago, right here, where, things like this can happen, and they're typically accompanied by high volume. And that's always the question is this about to happen again? But you can just kind of see even there that 55 period moving average gives it at least a pause, right? Okay, so that's that one. Netflix. And the other key things to kind of keep in mind here are kind of the flight to quality assets. So a big one of those is TLT. You can see here money is obviously flowing back into TLT. If it's flowing into TLT, it is flowing out of stocks. What about the Japanese yen? Well, the Japanese yen selling off, that has helped support stocks, but you can see today with a little rally, stocks just fell apart. So what happens if the yen actually starts to retrace in a meaningful way? And then finally, the dollar index has also been a flight to quality. And ever since the dollar index started moving higher, the stock market has actually had a tough time. It's been trading in a violent, tight, consolidated range, and that's not going to change as long as the dollar is going higher. And in fact, if the dollar continues going higher, I actually would look in for the markets to put in a serious top. Okay. All right. So after hours today, we had some earnings. Nike here up about $3 after hour. Actually, it's up $4 after hours. Micron closed at 31. It's up a little bit too. I don't know if that's enough to kind of goose the market for tomorrow or not. But that was the plan. I went over the plan for that, stocks that I like here, and I think that's it. All right, so tomorrow, Friday, should not be dull. the last thing here I want to look at too is just the volume. A lot of times on a big down day like this too, it can be seen as kind of a blow off move. Blow off meaning like it just takes everybody out because of the high volume. You can see the last time we had volume this high, the market didn't really, I mean, it kept going kind of sideways here, but the selling was kind of done. For tomorrow, again, if we get through this, it could really turn nasty, but what I'm looking for at this point is that, you know, we do get a rally, a decent rally would take us back to about 4,027. That's just 20 points away. A little bit more would take us to the 21 for a continued downside in relation with the squeeze. Remember, when that triggers, that's 8 to 10 days of selling. Okay, doesn't mean every day's down. It just means a stronger than normal trend in one direction. All right, and for those of you that had joined us in the open house, if you would like to join us in our live trading room, you can go to simpleroptions.com/gold. It gives you access to our live room plus our texts for texted, sometimes market commentary, as well as plays. And a reminder too, if you're interested in our only live event of the year, which is October 12th through the 14th, go to simpleroptions.com/Las Vegas. Any questions? Support at simpleroptions.com, or you can call us at 512-266-8659. Have good trading, and we'll see you at the next update.